What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube live stream. I'm Nathan Osler here, talking MLB playoffs. We already did a wild card predictions. I went 2 of 4, and we already did our wild card recap. So now I guess it's time for the good old division series. And let me just say, just looking at these matchups, they're going to be bloodbaths. I am so excited, especially for the National League side of things. Those Padres, Dodgers, and Mets and Phillies matchups are absolutely going to be crazy. They're pure rivalries. And that is what you want, especially in the MLB playoffs. And then in the AL side, it's 3 AL Central teams, who would have guessed, versus the New York Yankees. So who's going to come out on top over there and make an ALCS matchup? I honestly think that's going to be up in the air. But this NL side is actually awesome to look at, and the bracket is actually amazing. So I guess I want to go very briefly, kind of matchup by matchup, to see who are the teams that are going to have the edge over the other teams. Are the Mets going to be able to upset the Phillies? Are the Padres going to beat the Dodgers? They've had some luck over them. Are the Yankees in trouble against the Royals and Bobby Witt Jr.? Or are the Tariq Skubal-led Detroit Tigers going to go into Cleveland and beat them, as they have mainly all year? They've had luck against Cleveland's starter, who's going today, and that game's about less than an hour away. So I want to try to get this live stream over with at least sometime before 1 o'clock, because that first game starts at 1:08 here on the East Coast, and it's going to be a very good matchup overall. So we're going to go matchup by matchup. We're going to do what we did, just look at the game one starters, looking at projected lineups and all that stuff, and look at their rosters and what they have going into the division series. So we're going to pull this up over here. See this, share screen. Okay, so here's your schedule today, if you didn't know what the schedule was. Detroit at Cleveland, that starts in about less than an hour at 1:08. Mets and Phillies is going to be a great game there at about 4 o'clock. Royals, Yankees, they're in the time slot I like to find as the no one is real. I know Yankees fans are going to watch, but that 6:30 time slot doesn't really do a lot for me. It's usually the 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock that are usually the better window. And clearly, I think the scheduling in these TV companies really like the NL matchups more so than the AL matchups, in my opinion. So they're at 6:30, and then Dodgers, Padres, your night game, 8:30 at 8:38 tonight. So let's start with Cleveland, Detroit. Let's go ALs. Let's go this first matchup first. So your probable matchups today are Tyler Holton. Couldn't figure out his first name at first. And then Tanner Bybee. Now, this is what I've been seeing a lot of Guardians fans kind of nervous about. Tanner Bybee, they don't have his stats here, but I just watched a video about it. The Tigers hitters are batting .319 against Tanner Bybee this season. They've had a lot of luck against Tanner Bybee. And here's where you're kind of nervous as a Cleveland Guardians fan. Your game 2 starter going against you is Tariq Skubal. So if you lose game 1, you're more than likely going to be down 2-0 if he pitches as good as he did against the Houston Astros and as good as he did during his, hopefully, which I would think, Cy Young campaign. So if you're the Cleveland Guardians, I think this is really a must-win already in game 1, because Tariq Skubal is going in game 2, and you might be in trouble if you lose game 1. There is no way. I don't think the Guardians, if they go down 2-0, they can go into that Detroit Tigers home environment. This is going to be their first playoff game at home in a very long time. I think that crowd's going to be rocking. They need to win game 1 here, because Tariq Skubal, like I said, he's going game 2. You might be in trouble if you go down 2-0 and you go to Detroit. So here's today's lineups. You got Parker Meadows. He had a home run. Kerry Carpenter, Matt Vierling, Riley Green, Cole Keith, Spencer Torkelson, Zach McKinstry, Tyler Sweeney, and Jason Rogers. I think that's his first name. Jake Rogers. I'm so sorry. So, solid lineup for game 1 over here. Stephen Kwan, David Fry, Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, Lane Thomas, the trade acquisition, Andres Jimenez, Jerhonski Noel. I like this guy. I know he's batting .218, but he has a lot of power. I'm very excited to see this rookie in the playoffs. He's only 23. I think he's going to be a solid power bat for the Cleveland Guardians, in my honest opinion. Bo Naylor, and then I don't know, Brian Ruccio. Sorry if I've botched that name. Not really familiar with him, but I just realized the tab wasn't showing. So, I like this Guardians lineup, and also Jose Ramirez. There we go. Jose Ramirez this season was kind of robbed of the 40-40-40 41 stolen bases, 39 home runs, and he also had over 40 doubles. Thing is, their last game got canceled, so he didn't get a chance for their 40th home run. They just didn't even reschedule the game because they're already in the playoffs. They don't need to play the game. They don't need to risk injury. And that's also what worries me about the Cleveland Guardians here in Game 1. They haven't played in a very long time. It's been about a week, I think, since they've last played a game. So it's been a good bit of games. And we always see it every year about how, I guess, teams will get hot at the right time, especially if you're a wild card team. The Tigers just swept the Houston Astros. The Royals just swept the Baltimore Orioles. The Padres just swept the Atlanta Braves. And the Mets just had an amazing series against the Brewers where they won it 2-1. And I would argue the Mets are probably the hottest team coming out of that wild card round just because of the win they got against the Brewers in a dramatic fashion. If I'm the Phillies or the Dodgers, now I'm getting sidetracked in the NL. If I'm Phillies or Dodgers fans, I'm kind of nervous. I'm not going to lie, because the Mets and Padres played great baseball against the Braves and Brewers. Especially, I would say, the New York Mets, the way they won. But we'll get to that in a second. So, I guess for this series, I think if we're just predicting today's game and then going into the rest of the series, I think Tanner Bybee has a way better outing this time around. Holton, great ERA so far this season, great record. I mean, pitching records don't really matter, but like solid numbers. I think the Guardians will play really good baseball today, knowing that this is probably a must-win, knowing Tarik Skubal is going tomorrow. I'm going to say Guardians do take Game 1, but I would not be surprised if the Tigers win this game and take a couple in Detroit at least and make this a good series. I think this is going to be a upset. I'm not going to lie. I'm taking the Detroit Tigers in 5. I really am. I think Skubal is going on Game 2. I think they're going to pitch him on very short rest if they need him for Game 5. Or they pitch him out of the bullpen in Game 5. I think the Guardians win Game 1. Tigers win Game 2. I think the Tigers take Game 3. Guardians take Game 4. And then the Guardians lose Game 5 at home. I think if Skubal pitches on short rest as well, I think you at least see him for a couple innings or out of the bullpen in Game 5. Because he's pitching in Game 2. I think they could get him in there because there's going to be some rest days as well. So you could have, honestly, a 5 days rest at a point. So just keep an eye on the Detroit Tigers. I am going to take the upset here. I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers in 5 over the Cleveland Guardians. So I guess first upset pick for me. Okay. I guess let's go by order of today. I was going to do both ALs, but this Mets-Phillies one, we're already talking about it a little bit. I am so excited for this series. I am actually really hyped for this one. I think this is my most intriguing series of this division series round, in my opinion. Kodai Senga, Zach Wheeler's your matchup today. Zach Wheeler had an amazing year. He went 16-7, 2.57 ERA, 224 strikeouts. Kodai Senga was riddled with injuries a lot this season. He missed a majority of the season, including all of the beginning. He did manage to go 1-0. He had the 3.38 and 9 strikeouts in this season. Here's your lineups. You got Lindor, Vientos, Nimmo, Alonso, Jose Iglesias, Jesse Winker, Marte, Taylor, and Francisco Alvarez. And for the Phillies, you got Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, JT Realmuto, Brandon Marsh, and Johan Rojas. This is a Phillies lineup that has been in the World Series 2 years ago, the NLCS a year ago, and they've kind of just kept the same lineup. This is the same lineup about we've seen in those matchups. They have been able to keep the same team for a long period of time intact. They have them all locked up, and they've been very efficient every single season. I mean, this is the type of matchup, if you are a fan of either side, you hate each other. You actually hate each other to oblivion. This is a matchup I am actually really excited for. I'm very intrigued by it. I don't think the Mets are going to be an easy out for the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't think they're going to sweep the Mets. These are teams that know each other very well. I'm expecting to see a lot of Francisco Lindor this series. I'm expecting to see a big series from Pete Alonso, especially coming off that go-ahead 3-run shot. I'm expecting to see some dramatic home runs, possibly from Bryce Harper and Trey Turner. Probably one from Kyle Schwarber. We see it all the time. It wouldn't even shock me if Rojas has a special home run in his special moment, because random players every year, especially for the Phillies, become fan favorites every year in that ballpark. And the whole Red October thing celebrated by Phillies fans is electric. If you're an away team, you are in trouble going to play in Philly in October. And I think the Mets are lucky that this is not really a night game. It's a late afternoon game, so it's not going to be nighttime outside. It's not going to be as high level of an environment, in my opinion. I think it's way harder to play at night in the day, personally, in the playoffs. But I think the Mets aren't going to win game one. I do not think they will. Zach Wheeler is going to shove today, but I would expect it to be close whenever the bullpen kind of comes in. I'm not really a fan of the Phillies bullpen. Sorry to say it. I guess if like you're looking for guys to look out for on the Mets side to maybe get the Phillies issues here, Lindor, probably Brandon Nimmo. I think he's due for a home run of some kind. I think he's due to have a good series. But also like Pete Alonso. I can't avoid Pete Alonso after what he did against the Brewers. I think the Phillies do take game one and game two. I think this is going to be an interesting series. But as well, I think the Mets take games 3 and 4. I think this is going to be a 5-game series against these two teams. And you know what? I have a storyline brewing in my head and a crazy prediction. Like every year, a wild card team makes the AL and NLCS usually. We had a Diamondbacks last year. I already picked the Detroit Tigers to beat the Cleveland Guardians. However, I think I'm as well going to pick the Mets over Phillies. I think I will. I think the Phillies win both games at home. I think the Mets can win both games in New York. And I think the Mets upset the Phillies here in Game 5. I think we kind of get what we saw with the D-backs last year where they went to Game 7 in the NLCS and basically upset the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, I'm an avid Mets hater. If anyone has previously listened to these or knows me well, I don't like the Mets. I personally do not like that fan base. I'm not a fan of the team. But it would not shock me if the Mets can win this series in 5. It really would not shock me. Just because we saw it last year with the Philadelphia Phillies. They had a hard time against the Diamondbacks winning that series. They were up well in that series, and they kind of choked. I think the Phillies could have the same type of mentality here, and it worries me that they could go up 2-0 and completely just lose this series the next 3. All it takes to win a best of 5 is basically to sweep a 3-game set. You could lose the first 2 and then go on a 3-game sweep practically like it's the regular season. I think the Mets, Jose Quintana had a great outing. Luis Severino had a pretty nice outing. And Sean Manaea has been a very good pitcher for them. If Kodai Senga can be that solid 4 off of this injury, which I think he can, the Mets going to have a really dangerous rotation, very sneaky rotation here in this division series. Now, the Phillies also have a great rotation as well. Can't forget about Aaron Nola. Can't forget about guys like Zach Wheeler as well, who's pitching today. You can't forget about that Phillies rotation. However, you know what? I want to look at the matchup in Game 2. I want to see what the Game 2 rotation is. Who's starting? Christopher Sanchez, Luis Severino. This as well is a very good matchup. They already have, not the lineups, but here's some of the other guys on the roster. Edmundo Sosa, Garrett Stubbs, Weston Wilson, Luis Torrens, JD Martinez, and all these other guys. Acuna. I'm very high on Luis Angel Acuna for the New York Mets. I don't know why to bring hard. Austin Hayes. But that's a very solid game 2. I think the Phillies also win game 2. I don't know if they already have a game 3 though. I want to see if they have a game 3 rotation out. Aaron Nola is going through game 3. So the Mets do not know who's going game 3. Aaron Nola, in my opinion, was not that good this season. I get the 3.57, looks good. I had him on fantasy. He did not give me the greatest numbers. I think this is the game the Mets are going to start their winning streak. I really do. I think they're going to go back home to Flushing, New York, Flushing, Queens, and beat the Phillies. I think they're going to win 3 in a row. Do the Phillies have a game 4 guy? I want to check this. It should be a TBD. It is TBD. So we don't know game 4. It's looking like the Phillies will probably go the rotation of 3 pitchers. Probably. Zach Wheeler, Sanchez, and Aaron Nola. So, and this is also, I think, the 3rd pitcher the Mets have used already that's different. So, personally, I am going to take the New York Mets. I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to say Mets in 5, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, I think the Mets are the team in the National League, especially after what they did to the Brewers. I get they lost the game, but I think they're a team to watch out for. I think they're getting hot at the right time. I think that Alonso home run kind of woke up the New York Mets offense as a whole, even though they played, I think, pretty well against the Milwaukee Brewers. But I've been seeing a lot of people say this, and I can kind of see it after that after that Alonso bomb. It's kind of giving a team of destiny vibes. I don't know what it is. MLB playoffs are a different breed than other sports, in my opinion. And I think that Alonso home run will wake up something, in the New York Mets offense. So I am going to take Mets in 5 over the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm going to take 2 upsets to start this video or this live stream if you're watching it live. I'm taking 2 upsets. I'm taking Tigers and Mets over Guardians and Phillies. I can't believe I'm saying it. Now, here's where I'm going to go pretty briefly. I'm not really intrigued by Royals Yankees. I'm not really intrigued by the matchup. Michael Wacha, Garrett Cole, pretty solid pitching duel today. No lineups yet. I guess some key guys to look out for, especially Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton has been okay. He still has the power. Jason Dominguez for his playoff run. Jazz Chisholm Jr. as well. They got him in the trade. He's been really good with the Yankees. And for the Royals side, of course, it's Bobby Witt Jr. It really is. Vinny Pasquantino. It's about it for me, I would say. I mean, they just brought in DeYoung, but like he was on the White Sox, and I'm not really expecting a lot from Paul DeYoung, especially. Like, I'm not really high on him. I get he had a great year, but like I think if he goes elsewhere next season, I don't think he's gonna be that good. I think he just looked good for a team because he was on the Chicago White Sox. As bad as that sounds, or as mean as that sounds. Also, like a guy like Tommy Pham, I think he looked better than what he was. For some reason, they only have a few. Like, I think the matchups are all messed up, but like they only have a few matchups. Like, there's no way no other Yankee has faced Michael Wacha in his career. Batting 500, Tommy Pham versus Garrett Cole, not that good. But like, I think the Yankees take this series. I think it goes in 3. I think they sweep the Royals. I don't want to say this. I don't want to be boring here, but I like as quick as possible. I don't think this series really thrills me. I don't think it's going to be an interesting one. I think this is going to be the boring series. I'm just not really enticed by this matchup. I think Guardians, Tigers, Phillies, Mets, and Dodgers, Padres will clear this matchup. When it comes to ratings, I know Yankees fans and Royals fans are going to flood the ratings for this for TV purposes. But like compared to the other 4, this might be ahead, I guess, of the Tigers, Guardians, just because of the small markets. But like, I think when people are looking at this series, this might be the one where people are most comfortable with picking the higher seed in the New York Yankees. I really don't want to be that easy, but like, I think the Yankees win this series pretty comfortably. I'm going to take Yankees in 3, just very quick. Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. I know Judge was kind of going on a home run slump with that whole Paw Patrol curse ever since he was in that show. But like, I don't know if the Royals are going to be able to silence a guy like Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. As much as I do like their rotation a little bit, I am sadly going to take Yankees sweeping the Kansas City Royals. I think it's going to be a pretty simple series for the Yankees. And now I'm acting like it's going to be too easy and the Royals are going to win it in 5 probably. But now we're going to get to the series that kind of gets me excited here. I think this is as well going to be a great series. I think these division matchups are setting up for a couple game 5s. I already had 2 of these going 5, 1 going to be a sweep. Now, Padres, Dodgers. These 2 teams actually hate each other. Their fan bases hate each other. The Padres made that stupid song in the playoffs. Their fans, it was so, oh my gosh, it was so cringy. But like these guys hate each other. The Padres, if you didn't see, are making it like impossible for fans outside of San Diego to get tickets. They're only selling tickets to their home fans practically. They do not want Dodgers fans taking over San Diego. I like it. I mean, I hate it if you're a Padres fan living in Los Angeles. You're kind of screwed, but like still, like I like it. I like the little rivalry. They all hate each other. Dylan Cease had an amazing year. He had a no-hitter, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto had some injuries, but he's here. He had a 3 ERA his rookie season, 105 strikeouts. He's not going to win Rookie of the Year just because of those injuries. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a great matchup. I think this is the matchup of the playoffs. I think both NL matchups are absolutely amazing, but this one, I think this is going to steal the show. Key guys look out for since there's no lineups out. I can't read your game 1 lineups. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and the big guy we all know and love him around this channel, Shohei Ohtani. First ever playoff game. I'm excited for this one. Keep an eye out on guys that may be due to have a big postseason or might come out of nowhere this postseason, like a Gavin Lux. Might see some good Max Muncy hitting. Will Smith as well. On the Padres side, keep an eye out as well for, where is he? Fernando Tatis Jr. This guy killed it in the wild card round. He batted .667 the wild card round. He had 4 hits in 2 games against against the Atlanta Braves. This is a guy to look out for against the LA Dodgers. These 2 teams, like I keep saying, absolutely hate each other, and this is going to be a great first division series matchup. I don't want to call it the first round of the playoffs, but now that the wild card's over, I guess you could call it kind of the first or second round, however you want to say it. But this is going to be a great matchup. Keep an eye out on Fernando Tatis Jr., in my opinion. I think he's going to have a great series. Pull this back up. 1 second. There we go. So I think it's going to be a great series for Fernando Tatis as well. Keep an eye out on guys like Manny Machado, Jackson Merrill, of course. Jurickson Profar, I think, is going to be due for a great series. Jake Cronenworth. I don't know why I'm looking at him as a X factor. He did not really have a great series against the Atlanta Braves, that is. But I always expect some guy to kind of just take over, come out of nowhere. We saw it with the Mets and Daniel Murphy back in 2015. I think Jake Cronenworth could be a good bat this series. Xander Bogaerts, Luis Arias. These two teams hate each other. They played each other so much this season. The Dodgers still won the division. Don't get me wrong. But the Padres played great baseball against the Atlanta Braves. And this could be a situation like the Mets where the Padres go in and win a series. However, I am going to take the GOAT here. I think this is the X factor. This guy is the X factor. He's going to be playing every day. Imagine if he could have pitched, but he's not. We're going to have to wait to see that next year. This guy had the first 50-50 season of all time, 54 home runs, 59 stolen bases, as well driven 130 runs, batted .310, an OBP of .390, an OPS over 1,000. This Shohei Ohtani is the X factor this series, and I'm very excited as a baseball fan to see the playoff version of Shohei Ohtani. We didn't get to see that with the LA Angels at all. We never got to see playoff Shohei Ohtani. This is the first season we are going to see playoff Shohei Ohtani. And I am going to pick the Dodgers just because of the fact they have a guy like Shohei Ohtani. And he took a great deal. He took a deferred money deal, and I think it was very smart on Shohei's part because they won't have a big salary cap. They won't add his contract big to the salary cap just because he's saving all his money for after he's gone, which I think is very smart. But I think Shohei is going to lead this Dodgers team. I think he's going to be different in the playoffs, and I think he's going to have a great series. Shohei Ohtani looks really good. I'm sorry to say it. I think he's a favorite to win an early NL playoff MVP. I think he's probably going to win the MVP in the National League, I would hope. And I really think the Dodgers are set up for success. However, I am going to take the Dodgers only winning in 4. I think the Padres could go into LA and maybe win game 1 and surprise them. Or it's going to go along the lines where they split game 1 or 2. Or you could say the Padres win maybe game 3 to stay alive. However, I am going to pick the LA Dodgers. I know they've fallen short in the playoffs last year especially. I think they wake up this year. They added Shohei Ohtani. I'm very curious to see how Dave Roberts is going to manage this. I see all the time Dodgers fans say he overmanages a lot, which you could say as well if you're just watching it outside of the Dodgers organization like me. I think the Dodgers win this series. I think they win in 4 games. I like the pitching duel today as well. I think it's going to be a great one. I'm very curious to see how Yamamoto fares in the playoffs. This could be the game the Padres win game 1. I think the Padres have a strong chance to take advantage of a Yoshinobu Yamamoto who has been riddled with injuries and he's not pitched in the MLB playoffs before. I think Dylan Cease might pitch well today. He might not. I could be wrong. I could be wrong with all of these. But I am going to take the LA Dodgers winning it in 4 games. I like Dodgers. I like the Shohei Ohtani factor. I like them in this matchup. I hardly even talked about Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. You can't forget about those guys. Both of them have a World Series championship. Both of them have a ring. Both of them have MVP awards as well. Pretty sure Mookie has one. I know Freddie Freeman has one. But looking ahead, this is your bracket. It's been updated. Your 1 seeds, of course, are the Yankees, Dodgers. The Dodgers are as well the number 1 overall seed, so they would host the World Series. They would have home field advantage. Your number 2 seeds were the Guardians and Phillies, and they are facing the number 6 Tigers, number 6 Mets. So both number 6 teams won. The number 4 Padres and the number 5 Royals. So if you missed it earlier, I guess I'll give a little bit of a spiel. I picked the Tigers winning in 5. I picked the Yankees sweeping the Royals in 3. I picked the Mets upsetting the Phillies in 5, and I picked the Dodgers over Padres in 4. So there you have it. thank you to all who tuned in at least for a couple minutes or just joined in. I saw a couple guys or whatever, saw the viewer total went up to maybe 1 or 2 at a time. But thank you all for tuning in. It's been fun. Thank you all for joining for this live. I'm going to get rid of that. Thank you all for joining. It's been fun. We'll be back, I guess, to do another live stream recapping the division series, maybe. I think that's going to be the plan. But thank you all for joining. It's been fun, and keep an eye out on the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we're going to have some more baseball content, especially in the offseason. So thank you all for joining. It's been fun, and have a good one.